Hello and welcome back to my software review of the QNAP TS-53D series. Now, I am utilising the 6-bay today, the TS-x53D, but pretty much everything I'm going to discuss today can apply to any of the 53D series, and I include the rack mount devices as well. But before we go any further, a few disclaimers straight off the bat. One, I do have a full breakdown video coming very soon that will go through all the different ways in which you can make the most of your QNAP NAS with different file types and different user types, creating user groups, creating backup strategies, Plex Media Server and more. And that series of videos, around 9 parts, are all going live gradually over the next 2 weeks. But today I want to review 2 things. I want to review QTS 4.4.2 and I want to review this NAS and how well it runs QTS. Now, it's worth also highlighting, if we get the resource monitor up, that today I want to show you guys as much as possible that this device can do. And to do that, I've had to include certain extras, enable certain processes, and ultimately push this device to some pretty strong limits. Consequently, I am using a device that has 8 gig of memory, but by default the 53D arrives with 4 gig. So if you want to take advantage of all the things I'm going to talk about today, you may wish to upgrade your memory by another 4 gig. It doesn't cost very much, but if you are going to utilize all of the processing, if you look down the bottom you can see some of the big heavy hitters we'll be touching on: QVR Pro, Virtualization Station, Container Station, Plex. Some of these are very greedy applications, and therefore if you're going to use a NAS for some of these processes, do bear in mind that these are hungry tasks, and this applies to any NAS brand, so it will make a big bit of difference. So yes, I just thought I would mention I am using 8 gig of memory, and if you are going to run all of the applications that I'm going to show you today, all of which are running simultaneously, then you will have to factor that in. So this is desktop user interface of QTS. There isn't just the desktop here, you've got mobile apps as well, you've got desktop applications. In fact, if you do look into the device and the control panel, we can have a little look at connected users. We can have a look here, and we can have a look at the different connected users at any given time. You can create users really easily. In my series of videos, I'll show you guys later on how to create lots of users. You can really tailor this device in a number of ways in your own network. Now, there's maybe 2 kinds of users that are looking at this. People that have never owned a NAS before that want to know just how easy it is to use. And there's another kind of user that may be jumping ship from another brand, Synology, HP, Drobo, WD. I just want some idea of what the user interface is. Now, I'm accessing this NAS right now via the web browser. I'm accessing it over the network, so my own local area network, but of course you can access this device in a number of ways. You can connect to it via the internet, and you can set up an online portal completely for free, inclusive of your QNAP NAS, and it allows you to establish internet connectivity with this device. And again, the internet connectivity can extend to all of your authorized users if you give them permission to access the storage area and access the individual applications. And remember that you can create multiple users very easily. I have utilized the program QFinder Pro to find it, and this is a free app from QNAP that lets you search your local area network to find the NAS, but even then you can tailor a number of things. Now, I've installed pretty much all of the key applications for most users. Before I start looking though at the big heavy hitting apps for home and SMB users, let's look at the default ones. Let's look at File Station, let's look at the Storage Manager, and let's look at the Network Manager, because for me these 3 are kind of the staple apps and 3 very good examples of just what QNAP are putting out there for you. Another disclaimer, just to add real quick, I am utilizing OBS as the recording software in today's video, and consequently it may affect screen recording. The screen recording may utilize a lot of GPU, so you may see the odd bit of lag between what I'm saying and what you see on screen, but I just thought I'd mention that. Now, the network virtual switch there, this is kind of your network environment. There's an easy mode and an advanced mode with a whole topographical overview. And as you can see, we're connected via one of the two 2.5 GBE ports, but I have attached a 5 GBE adapter, the QNAP 5 GBE adapter to be precise, over USB, and I've added the 10 GBE card, and this is for a video coming very, very soon. But I thought I'd mention them just to highlight that this device arrives with 2.5 GBE ports by default, 2 of them, which can be link aggregated if you want, and even link aggregation is really easy. You just have to select the ports you want to lag and then add them together. But moreover, you can upgrade this device to 10 GBE with a PCIe card or add 5 GBE connections with that QNAP adapter. You can create virtual switches, and those virtual switches, if we go into more detail, extend to not just physical devices. At the moment, I have virtual environments here utilizing Docker, Linux Station, and the virtual machine software, all of which are on their own private network, which is pretty cool when you think about it. This whole map of all of your connected devices, some of which are VMs, some of which are containers, and some of them are physical NASes. Now, the network virtual switch may seem a little bit technical, but it really isn't, and getting to grips with your QNAP NAS here is incredibly straightforward. And this gives you a full overview of your device. You can even add Wi-Fi devices such as Wi-Fi cards, covering everything from standard Wi-Fi, dual band Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi 6 on the horizon, as well as USB dongles, but just make sure you double check compatibility first. The next staple app you should look at is the Storage Manager. This is where we've got our areas of storage within this device. Now, I've already got 2 RAID 1s pre-installed inside this device. One of them is Seagate, one of them is WD. But I have got 6 disks inside this 6 bay. So as you see here, we've got one RAID group that is comprised of Seagate drives. Is this the Seagate RAID? Yep, and we have one RAID group that comprises of the WD RAID. These are 14 TBs coming up in a video very soon. But down here, I've got 2 SSDs that haven't been utilized yet. And just to show you guys just how easy it is to set up a RAID group, we head to the Storage and Snapshot tab, and we can go ahead and create storage pools and volumes if we choose. Or we can use those SSDs for caching if we so choose. Another thing I will cover in a future video. But for now, let's show just how easy it is to create a new storage area. There is the 2 SSDs that I'm utilizing for this new area. We can do a RAID 0 or a RAID 1. We click Next. We can enable SSD over provisioning if we like, and this is where you effectively use a portion of the SSD to assist buffering and the handling of files on the edges, so to speak, which I won't do for this video because we are just utilizing this just to show you how to set it up. An alert threshold, which will allow you to make sure that your data isn't over the top and therefore using up all your capacity. And then click Create, and you create your storage pool. The storage pool is the bit at the bottom. This is basically your large RAID area, and then on top of that you can build multiple volumes, and those multiple volumes are effectively containers of storage for what you want to use for personal media, backup, surveillance, or more. The Storage and Snapshot Monitor is one of the things about QNAP NAS that I've always loved, because they do find a line between technical and easy to use. I'm not going to say they're as easy to use as a Synology, but the point is the Synology hides a lot of information away that you're not able to access there in the background. Now, it's creating our storage pool there in the background so we can get ready to enable our volume shortly. The amount of time this takes is heavily dependent on the storage of the area you're utilizing. I'm going to skip forward a minute or so now to the completion of that storage pool. And the storage pool is complete. Now we have to create that volume on top of it, and it is just as straightforward. Now we've got 3 pools, one of the the Seagates, the WDs, and now we've got the SSDs. We'll make sure to select the correct storage pool based on the one we've just created. It's then going to check that the storage pool has available space, which it does. We click Next. Say how much space on that storage pool we want this volume to occupy. I'm going to go with full space here, and I'm going to go ahead and create that storage pool. And now I've got an area of superfast SSD storage, and I've got 2 areas of hard drive storage from both WD and from Seagate. Now, it's also worth mentioning hybrid mount later on, and I think you guys will really enjoy the utilization of hybrid mount as we go forward. But let's go ahead and move into later stages of this. So let's get out the storage pool, and now we look at File Station. Now, the File Station application is your file management window. This is where you'll interact with your data in the most familiar way you can imagine. But although you can open up all the files here quite easily, it's worth highlighting there is lots of extra little bells and whistles which are just lovely and cool, and extras that a number of you may want to take advantage of. So, for example, you can open up music and video files in here thanks to all of the inclusive media applications on your device. You can take advantage, if you like, of video files and other media files that are moving. On top of that, you've even got the utilization of document files now that you've got an Office 365 connection with your docs. So say for example, we upload a Word doc now from this local PC, and we'll chuck any doc onto there now, and I'll upload that into that file. Just drag and drop. It sticks it inside this folder for us. It's done. And you see that W? It knows it's a Word doc. So if we double click, it will ask us, do we want to edit it with Microsoft's own Office app, use Google Docs, a Chrome extension, or open in the web browser? Again, every option will open it in different ways, and of course the web browser will download it. But if we go to the Office, we can open it up, and now it will open that doc in Microsoft Windows for us, and not Windows, in Word for us. And there you go, we can now edit the doc just like you would utilizing Word. They don't have their own Office app, but you are able to utilize Microsoft Word. And again, this isn't using my own copy of Microsoft Word. All you need to do is connect your Outlook account or your Office 365 account, or use a free account for a Microsoft, and then you can utilize Microsoft Word in conjunction with this device. Now, you may notice down here where it says Google Drive, and this is thanks to an application called Hybrid Mount. Now, Hybrid Mount allows you to connect cloud services and make them appear localized. As you see here, I've already created a storage pool, that Hybrid Mount storage pool, that allows me to see that area of storage from my cloud account there. There's the throwaway one we've used for different videos. The inclusion of this hybrid mount means that I can use all of QNAP's own tools to access the data in this cloud storage area. So if you are using Dropbox or Google Drive still, or have an existing account, you can still connect those accounts in a far more direct fashion. But what if you want to utilize that data and that available cloud storage for backups? Well, that's when you head over to Hybrid Backup Sync 3. Now that is their own backup software. Hybrid Backup Sync 3, let's skip the steps there, allows you to connect cloud services, connect USB services, connect NAS to NAS services with synchronization, backups, restore, and more. So the number of services that are covered by this are huge. You can go to the backup job list, select the folder on the localized NAS that you want to action with. So I go for the Homes folder there. Click Next. Say which kind of service you want to synchronize backup to. You can go with another folder on the local NAS, another NAS on the local area network, or via the internet, as well as cloud services too, and USB storage as well. And you can go through, set a schedule, set rules, and more to connect all of those services. It is very, very straightforward, and I have a whole dedicated video on Hybrid Backup Sync 3. And I still maintain it's one of the best and most user-friendly backup tools I've ever used in NAS. And it extends very, very deeply from Mac users using Apple Time Machine to those localized USB backups that use a smart button on the front or automated as soon as a device is connected. Now, those are kind of the key kind of file management tools, but there's so much more to this device. For example, they're one of the few brands that has this app, their own multimedia console. And multimedia console is a single indexing management point for your NAS. So, for example, you've got all of these different applications for handling media. QMAGI, an AI-powered photo recognition tool, PhotoStation, a photo management and collectors tool and creating portfolios. Video Station is a video tool that allows you to not only view videos on your local browser, but download client applications to enjoy it anywhere you need it. Same goes for Music Station. And QSearch, working in conjunction with QFiling, are management tools for faster searching and cataloging of the files in your file manager application. DLNA, of course, being network sharing and is far less intelligent, but it allows you to send files to your smart TV nice and easy. Now, what makes Multimedia Console such a big deal is it allows you to create the perfect archive system and indexing system. So say, for example, here I've told QMaggie to search this folder for the photos I want QMaggie to sequence, but I can add folders, as many folders as I want, and break it really far down, and therefore QMaggie will work the way I want it to. A number of other brands will force you to put your data in preset folders because their applications are indexed to go from those preset locations. QNAP does things the other way around and allows you to create your own registered folders, as well as creating an exclusion system where certain locations are excluded from indexing or certain file types. You can action the priority of indexing manually or schedule it, and again assess the importance of it so it doesn't have too much of an impact on your hardware resources. Thumbnail generation is taken care of, a mainstay of network attached storage and something that's always been a bit of a bugbear for those of you using less powerful NASs, and a transcoding manager that allows you to oversee live transcoding as well as create a system of offline transcoding when you need it. You can look at different permissions with regard to different users and groups with each of the different apps, so that not only can you go in to the individual app settings of users and groups and change their access, you can change the access from within the app. If we shut that there, we can go down to the AI engine where you can update the AI that's utilized in QMaggie, and there are some other applications on the horizon that also use AI. Now, let's talk about those multimedia apps. Now, if we look at the core 3 or 4 there, we'll start with the Music Station app, a nice straightforward app that allows you to play music, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to play any of the music because of YouTube's rules. But you've got the spotlight mode and you've got the management mode where you can go into the file management and just search for anything you like, as well as albums being preset along with genre, artist, all scraped from the metadata of those files. You can play back locally, or if you have a network device, you can stream directly to it, or a connected multimedia device, such as an HDMI output audio device or speakers that are connected to the NAS. If we look at Video Station, we have a very similar makeup, where we've got all the video files that are on this NAS, but with the added benefit that metadata is scraped from the internet using IMDb, and just like Plex Media Server, you're able to find out more information about your media. So for example, as you can see here, it's got a description of the file, who was in it, and the rating and the reference of that, and as well as the ability to play those files locally. It extends all the way through, and you can go ahead and utilize it, as I have, for multimedia testing, and you can check out my 1080p and 4K test utilizing the Plex Media Server application on this NAS in a previous video. You can create smart collections and share video files directly if you so choose. Nice and easily, and you can just right click and create a share if you choose, or choose to stream it to connected audio devices. Moving forward, you have got let's go there and find Photo Station. The Photo Station application is again a nice simple photo management tool where not only have you got a very straightforward gallery mode that allows you to look at all of the photos in the albums that you're indexing, but you can go one step better and go to a far more analytical approach where you can find out way more information about photos. Case in point, we can look at any of these photos and go for one, say here, and then from that photo, right click, find out more information. And not only can you find out when the photo was taken, but lots more information in the background. This is an edited photo, so we'll try and go for a photo that will have some metadata to show you exactly what that looks like. And you can break it down quite far to different years nice and quickly, and all of this is happening on the NAS live. So it's very easy, very straightforward, and you can find out lots of information about what took the photo, how the photo was taken, even scraping background metadata about the camera that was utilized, and more. And again, you can look at a world map, you can look at thumbnails, you can look at a whole breakdown of the files and photos that you're utilizing this application, as well as the ability to utilize tags that may or may not be attached to the photos already. And once again, you can stream these files to connected DLNA and internet connected streaming devices, or just right click a file and share or edit as you see fit. Now, I mentioned AI back up there. If we go back, we can look at the AI photo recognition tool QNAP, and this is a great tool that I've talked about in the past that allows you to not only look at photos just like PhotoStation, but on top of that, it allows you to find out way more information. So say we look at a picture of my cat Ron here, you may notice that information wise, there's actually less information readily available here than in the previous mode. But that's because this isn't designed to give lots more information. So if we come out of that photo, if we go into the albums, we can look at photos of people where it's recognized faces and allows you to tag people all together, and then if these people get uploaded in future photos, they get tagged further. And of course it isn't perfect. There's a few pictures of me here, so if we look and add my name there, we'll also notice in this picture I'm wearing glasses and I look like a bit of a knob. But if we scroll down, there'll be more pictures of me wearing hats, or maybe somewhat different about my appearance, but we can still consolidate those photos very easily. So if we look at these photos there of me at social events wearing glasses, we can go ahead, find my name, and there we go. They will be merged together inside there. We can add more and more people, and as these photos are uploaded, as more albums are uploaded, it will then add these people as you go. But photos is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the AI recognition. What you really want to look at is the Things tab. This recognizes the contents of photos, as you see here, and this is using AI recognition. This isn't utilizing the name of the files. So for example, if we look at this picture of a burger, this photo, if we look at the name of it, there is no mention of the word burger. The AI power has recognized that that is a burger, and that's, with regards to categorization, exceptionally useful. And then you can tag those photos automatically or manually as you see fit. Now, all of the apps I've talked about so far all utilize mobile apps as well. You can put apps on iOS and Android devices, as well as client applications for your PC or Mac system. This allows you to have localized access to a number of these services. But moving forward, why don't we see what else this device can do? All the applications I've talked about so far are very easy to download and install. Just go to the App Center that you have full access to on your QNAP NAS, and it allows you to access an enormous library of applications for you to download whenever you like. As you see, I have installed and am running lots of different apps here. This is because of that 8 gig of memory. So once again, if you're going to install loads and loads of apps, make sure you've got the hardware to back it up. That's why this device can be upgraded to 8 gig. Now, we talked about hybrid mount earlier. Hybrid mount allows us to synchronize those cloud-based services, but it works in two directions, because you can take advantage, if you're a business user, of something called virtual JBOD, and this allows you to utilize storage on your local system and make it appear localized to cloud services, ultimately passing your storage device, your storage availability, to cloud services and other NAS devices. So again, a little touch of enterprise, a little touch of home. Now, we've got BoxSafe if you want to utilize Office 365 or GSuite and migrate and synchronize those services. And I've got a whole dedicated BoxSafe video utilizing this device coming very, very soon. On top of that, we've got protection in the form of the malware remover application. We have lots of protective applications that allow you to look at the background of your device at all times and double check that you don't have any kind of intrusions. There are huge numbers of applications in the first and third party for monitoring your device in real time. Whether you want to protect yourself from viruses, malware, ransomware and more, there are still lots of apps ready to download, as well as antivirus applications available in the App Center from, if we have a look, reopen it there, my GPU is going a little bit bananas there. If we go to the recommended applications, or if we go to the QTS Essentials, you'll see different applications readily available. And with antivirus applications, as well as cloud-based applications and more, all available to you for you to download straight away, there's lots of choice for setting the device up for the first time to the best of your needs. There's even beta applications added all the time that you can experiment with, but obviously just be careful what you do with your storage. Now, coming out of the notification panel, this is how you manage a bespoke notification environment if you want to make sure that if certain actions happen on the NAS, that certain users are notified via email, push notifications, text and more. All of that can be configured right here for home or business users. Now, moving forward, we can look at some of the less mainstream applications. If we move into the other area here, we can look at tools like Virtualization Station and Linux Station. Now, if we go back to the drop-down list, we'll be able to see that all the applications we've installed so far are available here, but not all of them, because some applications will share resources. So in the case of Virtualization Station, this is a VM management tool, allowing you to install VMs on your NAS. Not only can you download VMs directly from the likes of Microsoft, so for example here, you can download a Windows VM directly to the NAS and action it almost immediately, but on top of that, you can go to the VM marketplace for more business class virtual machines as well. You can upload and restore VMs that you've got on USB sticks in different forms, and right now we've got that VM option here. I would run this right now, but it will utilize more memory because this VM is set to 4 gig of memory. Consequently, given our resource monitor is already running with all these different apps quite high, largely in part to QVR Pro, it's worth highlighting that running this VM would require us to change these settings on the fly. So if we like, we can shut down this VM and then change those values as we need. There's lots of options open to you. And again, that virtual machine tool, we have a whole dedicated video just on Virtualization Station for you. But it's not the only way to have a virtual environment on this device. You can utilize Container Station for more bespoke and less hardware resource consuming virtual environments. If you choose, you can install the Container Station app and then access GitHub and Docker applications and install them to run on your device nice and easily. Alternatively, you can take advantage of Linux Station. Now, Linux Station I have disabled because of the virtual machine tools and QVR, but if we re-enable Linux Station, you're able to see you can run a Linux VM directly from this device in a handful of clicks. And I have created a dedicated video for this. If we go ahead and click Start, you'll see that it will consume the HDMI output. Actually, before we run Linux Station, let's take a moment to talk about HD Station. HD Station is the dedicated HDMI output of this NAS. If we go into the settings, we can open up a remote desktop of this of the HD Station, and HD Station is the HDMI accessible portal to this NAS. So you can utilize it. If we go ahead and open it up here, HD Station is, you'll be able to see it with the utilization of a keyboard, mouse or infrared remote control, or utilizing a mobile phone and that app. This is a completely separate user interface to this device. We can log in to this device nice and easily, enter with our password, like so. The HDMI output on this device that we're currently viewing remotely will be output from the HDMI port on your device. You can access file management, the music media, photo media and video media in conjunction with those other apps. Alongside that, you've got an HD player, you've got the QVR Pro surveillance client that we're going to look at later on, and access to applications in the third-party form such as Skype and Spotify. There's a huge number of applications that you can download from the QNAPclub.eu website unofficially, and there's lots of homebrew apps there too, and they're always adding applications to this portal. If we go back to the NAS desktop user interface here, we can carry on looking at the rest of this device. Now, the HDMI output is utilized by a HD Station. However, if we want to try out Linux Station, it will require us to disable HDMI output for HD Station. So now the device is going to make the switch. This allows us, if we like, to attach a keyboard, a mouse and a monitor, and therefore turn the HDMI output on our NAS to a Linux Ubuntu version 18 VM. So you can use the NAS as a standalone PC. But it gets better than that, because you can install multiple versions of VMs. All of the VMs can be output over HDMI if you choose, and all of them can be accessed over the network. Bear in mind that while you're doing that, as you see here, all of those HD Station applications have now been deactivated as Linux Station is switched to, because there's only one HDMI port on the 53D. Now, while it does that in the background, we'll switch that later on, let's carry on looking at our applications. We can see there that the memory utilization is jumping around because we're using those different processes. But as you see, Hybrid Desk Station is stopping and Linux Station is beginning. If we look at those applications, we can look at another key reason that a number of you might buy the QNAP 53D, and that is surveillance. The surveillance application comes in three forms. There's the surveillance station application from QNAP, which is looking a little old hat, and I think it's more designed for the older generation of NAS. But on the other hand, you have QVR Pro and the often overlooked QUSB tool. The QUSB tool allows you to add a USB camera to your QNAP NAS and utilize it either in the app itself. As you see, I've connected an app here. We can have a look. And there, a USB camera that I've left connected to the QNAP NAS can be utilized for surveillance. That camera can be picked up in QVR Pro as well, allowing you to create that custom desktop setup for surveillance. And remember, QVR Pro can be output over HDMI as well. As you see there, it's right now viewing a monitor in the other area. We can share that feed if we choose and switch it to live mode, and therefore it's now going to be accessing that camera. We can set alerts, we can create multiple USB cameras if we choose, but it's worth highlighting that those individual cameras all need a license. You only get the first one for free. Whereas QVR Pro allows you to have 8 cameras running simultaneously on QVR Pro, accessible on your device. Now if we move forward, we can have a look at the QVR Pro user interface. Now this is where you'll be able to control your QVR Pro setup via the internet or the network if you choose. But it's recommended that you install the QVR application locally. The QVR Pro client is available for mobile and desktop use in Mac and Windows and Android systems, and it's completely free. Right now, I've attached multiple cameras. If we have a look here, in previous videos I've attached several. Let's see how many are still attached, because I have been moving a lot of my Reolink and Anchor cameras around the office for other videos. And once again, I do apologise for the slight delay there, but I have quite a busy network and a PC with a GPU going bananas. But as you see, we've got those 2 cameras there, and 2 of these other cameras have now been removed from the network, and I'll re-establish connection with those shortly. Now, if we switch over to the client application, we'll be able to see our complete control deck of the QNAP NAS system. And remember, the QNAP NAS can still be accessed here on this other tab at all times by all of your connected users. Once again, don't worry too much about the delays on screen there. A lot of that is being caused by this system being pushed to the limit. You're going to be able to see my CPU and memory utilization at the top of the screen shortly, letting you know just how much OBS is utilizing right now. So all of these cameras here, if we drag them over, we can create this completely bespoke setup here. And we're going to hear my own voice back, so we're going to have to mute the mic. So there is the USB camera connected there. We can then double click and flick between different cameras, with this camera here pointed at some server. So if I scroll back, we can have a look there. And we have other cameras dotted around my network environment which do need to have their connection re-established. But you can drag cameras in very, very easily. And if you have cameras like this one that have got pan tilt zoom, you can rotate those cameras directly from within this user interface. There's the other side of the recording area and the NAS that we're utilizing down there. Now again, we can drag those other feeds in. We can even create sub feeds if we want that can utilize preset areas of these recordings that we're using. Look at the CPU and memory utilization, and bear in mind that isn't of the NAS, that is my local PC system right now. So again, we can zoom in if we choose without changing that other view there. So we can zoom in and still maintain that, as well as utilizing optical zoom if we like, as well as taking snapshots and more. We can even create sub recordings that have live feeds if it's a multiple camera setup as well. There's lots of options all built in to the QVR Pro setup. Adding cameras is really easy, and if we go back to the web browser, I'll show you how. We'll have a look, go into QVR Pro, go into the camera settings. We can go ahead and double check and delete this camera. So these are 120 and 121, so let's delete those cameras. And then what we're going to do is reattach them to the local area network just to show you that they're working. So we're just going to delete those, reconnect them to the local area network, because as you see, and I'll show you on the camera if we scroll down a little, bring it down. These cameras are separated across this surface area, but the network switch has not been reconnected. So we can go back up there, let it reset the camera position, and go back into the QVR Pro desktop app there. Let's delete the other camera as well, and then reattach these cameras by me heading over and reattaching them to the network physically. As we wait for that network switch to bring those cameras back online, that PoE switch, let's carry on taking a look at QVR Pro. There's loads of options open to you with this device. And again, the 53D series does serve as a great middle ground for most users who are looking at a business class or a home NAS but want to be able to take advantage of all the features and scale their NAS experience accordingly. This device arrives with a 3-year warranty, and the software warranty is effectively lifetime. If you look at some of the applications that are added later on, such as Hyper Data Protector for business users who want to take advantage of Hyper-V and VMware environments, this allows you to back up, restore and duplicate cloud managed VMs a great deal more easily. It's still in beta right now, but it's showing a lot of promise and will almost certainly arrive soon. And between that and BoxSafe, taking care of your Office 365 and GSuite connected devices, you are looking at some great options there. Now, if we take a quick look at the applications, we can look at some of the apps that we've not even touched on. If you are looking at server applications or ones that take advantage of different databases, there's lots of options open to you. There's several CRM systems built in. There's more frivolous ones such as a podcast generator, download station, and more. If you are interested in learning more about the applications, just head to QNAP's own website, where there's lots of information moving forward on the different apps that are available for your NAS. So if we want to head back now into the QNAP application, let's go there, go back into QVR Pro, and let's start adding cameras. Let's get those connected and add them to our QVR Pro setup. As we see, it's found both of those cameras once again, so we can go ahead and click on those and start to add them. Both of these cameras are Reolink cameras, and if we go ahead and add the network credentials, which again by default on a Reolink will be just admin, and then we can go ahead and add these cameras to our surveillance setup. The QNAP will then activate these licenses for us, and we can go ahead and either just add the cameras or go through the entire security and alert protocol. The number of settings in QVR Pro for controlling everything from motion detection and to different alerts based on impacts built within the camera, such as temperature or light monitoring, can all be added to the QVR Pro setup. You can configure these remarkably detailed ways, and if we go ahead, we're now adding those 2 cameras to our surveillance setup. So it's now going to add these 2 cameras for us, and they should appear shortly while the licenses are getting activated in QVR Pro. I've added a couple of areas of interest, which is incredibly straightforward, and you can add multiple areas of interest as you need them. So for example, you can add an area of interest here, and it will just continue to add different locations in. So now we can add these 2 extra cameras into our network environment. There's me over there. I'll move my camera back, and all of this is happening in real time. All of this is using the application there that's built in with the device, and you can go back and scroll through recordings from throughout the day nice and easily in real time. You can play back whenever you need and flick between pre-recorded times and what's happening in real time. So all these cameras are recording right now, but we can flick between playback in the past that's been recorded from these cameras. It's nice and straightforward, nice and easy. As you can see, we're flicking through the time on these cameras, and it allows us to see what these cameras have been seeing. We can flick back, flick between different days, and there's lots of settings. It may seem a little intimidating at first, but there's still a lot you can do. Switch back to live playback. And there's all of our cameras running there on the QVR Pro client. You will need a slightly more powerful PC if you want to exceed this number of cameras, but it's very easy to set up for the first time. On top of that, while you're using the QVR Pro client, you can edit the recording privileges of all of these cameras. So you can go ahead and select the different recording protocols where you want to decide it records to certain areas of the NAS at different recording qualities. You can even use mobile phones as cameras as well. There's lots of things in which you can do, and don't forget those USB cameras as well. Let's leave the QVR Pro client. We can go back to the desktop user interface. There are so many applications you can install, and I know I keep harping on about these, but I can't stress them enough. And QNAP is innovating all the time on these apps. Is the brand perfect? I'm afraid not. No brand is ever truly perfect. It's very hard to create a system, I can imagine, that's trying to cater to so many different kinds of user and not come up with something that's trying to be many things. I think for the most part they succeed, but there's a few times when you're utilizing the device and it may seem exceptionally intimidating. Or, as in the cases you've seen in this video, you will end up with lots of things happening at once, and you can start consuming your resources very quickly without even knowing it. Emptying resources is nice and easy, and you've even got QBoost over here that allows you to optimize the device in real time and speed up your system. On top of that, you can go into far more details about the processes, and although I don't recommend it, you can end certain processes here within the resource manager there in the background. There's lots of analytical information, there's lots of home user information, and ultimately I do think the 53D brings a lot to the party. It is probably a fraction more intimidating than a number of the devices that you guys have used in the past from other vendors, but not a lot more. The learning curve isn't that high, and with applications for collaboration, for the Office 365 inclusion now, I haven't even talked about NoteStation and more, as well as different third-party applications being added all the time. I do think the QNAP 53D is a good platform. Otherwise, let us know what you think of QTS 4.4.2 with another version hopefully coming very, very soon, and regular updates to 4.4.2 all the time. It's very hard to stay on top of all the changes of QNAP's operating system. I will be hopefully doing a comparison of the 53D OS versus the Synology 20 Plus series DSM, and looking at different applications on both platforms to see how each brand handles different things, from VMs to surveillance to photo recognition, file handling, and more. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it's run a little bit long, but it's a hell of a lot to squeeze into today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.